Jaxon Show. I am your host, Cubby Jaxon, and again, greetings from the den. This is my personal bar, and again, I am here with the beautiful Mama Bear.
Hi, happy 2024. We made
We
it.
made it another year. I know the lights are pretty dark. We ended up doing some stage lights and stuff. We'll be turning that off. And welcome to the show again. We got some good stories for you. We're going to do something about the border. Mike Johnson was down there. We got some Ramaswamy stuff going on. I found a really cool video about him personally, and we thought that was pretty awesome. We're going to talk a little bit about lumber too, because I am an ex-sawmill guy, and we're going to try to go ahead and get that set up for you. Anyway, we hope you enjoy the show, and again, welcome to Cubby's Pub, and we're here with the beautiful Mama Bear as always. And how's the new year looking for you, kiddo?
So far, so good. It's been a nice little break from work, and
Yes.
so I've been enjoying myself.
Very good. Yeah, we got some stuff done around the house, and the back is just killing me. Anyway, that's all just a horror story by itself. I found a story here about a U.S. citizen charged allegedly supporting terror group after being motivated by Hamas. This is a 23-year-old U.S. citizen.
Hey, Cubby, you have it on me.
I do have it on you. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. We're doing good. We're starting the show out right. Again, these stories that we find, I try to find multiple stories that are entertaining and good, and obviously we do the very good stories that aren't political. We try to make that clear, but sorry about that. You're a rock star, man. What you want? So this 23-year-old U.S. citizen faces federal charges allegedly trying to provide material support to al-Shabaab, designated foreign terrorist organization, after being inspired by Hamas on October 7th. And this citizen, Kareem Nazar, was arrested earlier this month in Kenya and brought to the U.S. last week. The New York Southern District U.S. Attorney's Office said Friday he moved from New Jersey out to Europe and Egypt in July, and November began repeatedly expressing a desire and plans to join al-Shabaab and wage violent jihad against the U.S. allies. The article goes on and on. I mean, I guess he got inspiration from the attack on the 7th, and I stand with Israel. I mean, if you're gonna go banging on somebody's door, expect to get kicked in the mouth. That's just how I pretty much feel about that. And again, we got some good stories down at the border too. We got Mike Johnson over there and Ramaswamy. The Ramaswamy story we found was just
I like
awesome.
him.
Yeah, he's entertaining for sure. We did a story last week about DeWine, and the story read that he vetoed a bill about puberty blockers and all that other stuff. And then another story came out that he did approve a ban on child surgeries. And I'm just a little torn by it, because this article that I found, that Republican Mike DeWine received thousands of dollars in donations from donors who provided transgender medical services or opposed efforts to ban the procedure for minors. And again, it showed that he vetoed the bill, and now this thing comes out that he vetoed Bill 68 on Friday, which had prohibited doctors from prescribing puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for minors, and banned boys from competing in girls' sports. Now he vetoed this. And then this morning I got up and I saw another article about how he the governor of Ohio, this Mike DeWine, has signed an executive order to ban surgeries. And I don't understand why he's approving puberty blockers and approving surgeries at the same time. I don't get it. They were saying OSHA donated December 28th, $10,000, and $40,300 from Ohio's Children's Hospital, Cincinnati Children's, Nationwide Children's Hospital, ProMedica Children's Hospital, and they all support transgender care. So I don't know why that story came up the way it did, but I will get to the bottom of it. You got my word.
I still think you should have to be over 18 to make a life choice like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's to the point where 7, 8, 9-year-olds think they want to cut their junk off, man, I think it's all learned. Like we always say, children are born with hate. So, if they're learning this kind of stuff, it's just aggravating as a human being. I mean, as a human being in general.
Yep, they need to be a little bit older to get to that. decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Good job on the lights, by the way. They turned
Thank
out
you.
pretty cool, didn't they?
I liked them. And the music too.
Yeah, the music too. We found this little thing on our
We're learning. We're
yeah,
trying
we're
some
getting
new
there.
things.
We're getting there. We got some
Mhm.
goofball stuff. And I got an interesting story about one of the Miami Dolphin players that you're going to hang out and listen to too. So you found a story about, I don't want to say the word because it sounds so cool. If I would have thought about this, I would have called the show this same name because it's cool. And what is it, baby?
The golden mole.
The golden mole. And that is
Golden
not one
mole.
that grows on your neck. All right.
So the golden mole was thought to be extinct for the last 80 years. And I feel so bad when I hear about animals, going extinct or, in fear of going extinct. So this was always exciting when they find that it's not extinct. So hopefully some conservation efforts will help improve his population. But anyways, they have been looking for this type of mole, which is actually not even a mole, but it's part of the same family. And it was last spotted in 1937. And they finally found this adorable little creature in the sand dunes of South Africa.
I think that's a great story. Put that picture up.
He's a cutie.
Isn't he a cutie? I thought it was a tail when I first seen it, and I didn't realize that was his mouth. And for a minute, I thought it was a dog with a giant butthole. I didn't know what it was.
So while most moles make their home deep in soil, the golden mole lives exclusively in sand, and he actually swims through it, creating inaccessible burrows in which he resides. So that's pretty cool. So they used these tracking dogs, and these dogs were trained to find certain moles. And when they found the DNA of this unknown mole, the tracking dogs didn't recognize it.
That's crazy what they do with those dogs. I mean, some of them dogs are just geniuses.
I'm a dog lover. So anyway, so they knew that it was probably going to be the one that they were looking for, this one that's extinct that they've been looking for. It's called the De Witten's golden mole, and it's only ever been found in one small area.
You know what I love? I just love that name, the Golden Mole. Sounds like a strip club.
A little bit, but on South Africa's northwest coast. There is other species of moles living there. So that was pretty exciting that they found it. And this is the DNA sample from the De Witten's golden mole specimen was kept in a museum in South Africa. And
he's adorable.
And when they found the, DNA in the sand, from droppings and things like that, they were able to determine that, yes, indeed, this was the mole that they had been looking for 80 years.
The golden mole.
Yep. So not only now have they solved the riddle, but they've tapped into the DNA frontier where there's huge amount of opportunity, not only for moles, but for other lost or imperialed species. So good job, Golden Mole.
Good job, Golden Mole.
Keeping hidden.
Sounds like a football team, actually, is what it sounds like. This other story, I had mentioned before that I owned a sawmill. I think we talked about it in the first episode that we did. But, injury happened and rods and screws and everything else you can imagine stuck on my spine. So I ended up selling the sawmill. But I found this story, and it says the average real price of lumber exceeded the prior record by 4.3% in 2020. And 2.4 in 2021 over that 24-month span. But if you throw in the inflation today, the actual prices are 37% what they were. And this is framing lumber, composite prices, and other stuff. And I like talking wood because we got varieties, man. We got monkey pod, we got black walnut, some spalted maples. And if you're familiar with wood can be extremely beautiful. I guess it's who preps it. But the industry as a whole, we had to sell the sawmill when I hurt my back, and we had to sell the sawmill because it just didn't seem practical anymore, especially with the hardware. There's no lifting, but the industry itself has took a pretty good hit. I mean, when I started messing with my sawmill about 6-7 years ago, in Okeechobee, Florida, there was just a handful of guys around, and from the time I bought the big one, and got relocated up to Trenton, Florida, up by the Springs, because we figured we'd get in that little hub between, Tampa, Gainesville, and Tallahassee. We would have done really well. And the minute we relocated, it was like mills were popping up everywhere. I mean, even today, you got some guys like me. I was charging $10 a board foot for walnut. And for those of you that are not familiar with wood, lumber, or black walnut, a board foot measurement is a foot by an inch thick. So that's how most people calibrate pricing. And some of these guys over on the coast, man, they're getting $25-$30 a board foot for the right pieces. And I think from an industry standpoint, it's too bad that people just can't have a standard price. I mean, you got these guys like I like to call hackers. I mean, you got these hackers that are cutting up just this beat up gypsy wood, man. That you just name, you can just call it whatever you want to call it, and they're wanting to charge $7, $8, $9 a board foot. So in some cases 10, and it's just too bad because you might have a slab that's 3 times the quality, and you're asking your X amount of number, and they'll catch up to you, and that's the same number for some crap shit. And that really bothers me. But I found a photo. This is what made me think of this. Now, brace yourself. Brace yourself for this photo. This could be very drastic for most of you. So this is a picture of a trailer stacked up behind this camper. And it was saying that when it's cheaper to buy a trailer than pay for lumber. And it's really true, man. I mean, a lot of the old timers, you look back at the 2x4, you ever see the picture of the history of the 2x4, and there was like 100 rings in it. And now there's like 6. So if you ever wonder why you put your screw inside of a 2x4 or a 2x3 and it just splits right open, it's just because it's crap wood. And I thought that was an interesting story. And we have a bunch back there too. We have to get a lot of it dried. We got the kiln done. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your help, sweetheart.
It's busy kilning away.
So yeah, we got to get it dried. Again, when you guys buy wood, it comes generally 30 to 35% moisture, in some cases higher, depending on the wood, of course. And make sure you buy it kiln dried. So you wood folks that want to go, make a cutting board or a cabinet or a shelf or a table, bring a moisture meter with you. So I've met people that don't even know what that is. It's a little gadget. You can get cheap ones for like $6-7, and you just poke it in the wood and it tells you the moisture content. And I only tell you that because it's internal moisture. So what happens is if you build something and it's not dried, it's just gonna bow and buckle.
Oh, can I tell the story of our poor experience?
This was our very first experience with big wood. But yes, go ahead, darling.
Oh, so we were redoing the house when we first got married. He wasn't doing the wood business yet, so we weren't real knowledgeable about what to look for. He just knew what kind of wood he wanted. So we found this beautiful slab of wood, put it in the house. It was our countertop. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. As the days and weeks went on, it started to warp and it looked like a little skating rink for a mouse.
Yeah, and then we called the guy back and I'm like, dude, listen, we just spent like $1,000 on this wood. Can you tell me why it's bowing? He's like, oh, you have to dry it first. And that was my first experience with somebody. I'm not going to mention his name or location, but
yeah, that would have been really good information for him to let us know, especially since we didn't know.
And he knew we were putting in countertops, so he was quite aware of what's going on. And that was our first experience. And then we bought a moisture meter the day after. But yeah, basically just had to pitch it.
Important thing, know what amount of water is in your wood before you purchase it, knowing what you're going to do with it. So
yeah, no doubt.
That's a life lesson that we can share with you.
Sure, that's good stuff. I found this story about a DC business owner. He's planning on moving to Virginia. He said high prices and crime are just rampant, and he just can't deal with it no more. And it's an interesting story because this is our United States Capitol, which right now is just a bunch of clowns, man. They pull up. They should all just get in the bus and pull up to Capitol Hill at the same time and just run out like a bunch of clowns, because that's all they're really being. According to this Metropolitan Washington Restaurant Association, 52 restaurants in the DC area have closed down in 2023. The nation's capital is grappling with a escalating crime surge, having surpassed a 20-year record high. Homicides are, 261 murders as of December 14th. According to the Metropolitan Police data, robberies are also skyrocketing, increasing 67% year to date, while theft is up for 24%. Additionally, the motor vehicle theft is up 84%. Violent crimes have increased 39%. And you might say, how could this be happening in Washington, D.C.? And then again, the answer is power. I'm a firm believer on what they're doing, trying to defend us and in the Congress. I mean, a couple of the conservatives are pretty strong about it. But again, you get people broke, and the ones that are already broke are in a world of shit, because you get them broke, you put it on government aid, which you're going to have to get government aid. And so once they introduce the digital currency, you're already in there, and if you don't buy something, they don't want you to buy something, you're not going to get it. If you're already on record as buying something bad, they might just cut you off. They're going to do that, and they're going to turn your fucking electric car off while you're driving down the road.
All those things are terrifying. as much as I like not carrying around a bunch of change and dollar bills in my purse and pocket, it's just scary to know that they keep track of everything.
Yeah, I mean, digital currency is scary. We found a video. What was that last week? We were looking around in Portland. The grocery store at Portland has a face recognition, and you'd think you were in China, man. I mean, they're really just trying to wipe us out, man, completely from the inside out. It goes on. If you look up, Fink from BlackRock or Charles Schwab from the New World Order, you can find this information. They're not even hiding it, man. I mean, they're just not even hiding it. They want to take control of your lives. They want to make sure that taxes are almost half your money, so you're not able to buy what you want to buy, and then you're living on skins, man. I mean, we're, like I said, we're week to week too, man, and it fucking sucks. And we're talking about the national capital here. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. So the seat of the government for the most prosperous, powerful nation on the planet, or at least we were, Rex Management CEO Noah Lindy, who recently closed a Washington, D.C. restaurant, told Fox and Friends, this was Friday, Mark, the police cruisers and ambulances have been carjacked. I mean, it's just astonishing, man. We have an American Red Cross van that was supposed to feed the homeless the other day. I think this was on a Wednesday, and it got carjacked. I mean, you're literally carjacking the Red Cross food, man, for people. And his colleagues chose not to renew their restaurant lease, claiming it did not make sense for them. And from an investment standpoint, I would imagine also question the city's leadership and their response to crime. What's the long game? I mean, what are you talking about? What's the end result of that? I mean, you're shutting down businesses, you're costing jobs, which obviously is going to set the inflation back up. And there was a study that came out the other day. I guess they did the release of the jobs. Like there was 2 million jobs added, but they lost 10 during COVID. And these businesses are dropping like flies. Like they'll tell you the jobs that they added, but they won't tell you the number of these jobs that people are losing, which is just heartbreaking for some of these people, man, that have worked their entire lives, to start a business and provide for their family. And that's why I tell people, man, if you're not up to date on the politics, you really just need to find at least one or two people that you like to listen to, other than your mainstream network. And I think most of them are coming around too. I think the voting thing needs to be solved. I mean, some of these places are just nuts. I think I have a story today. We're going to talk about Arizona. They passed a law several years ago that you had to prove citizenship to vote there. And Joe Biden just filed a lawsuit against them that law was unconstitutional. And I say all the time, man, they use the word constitution and diplomacy as like punchlines. I mean, they don't even know what they are. They had the meeting with the judges, and Louisiana guy was asking him, Kennedy, he said, what's the Fifth Amendment, Section 2? Or, he would just ask him a question. They were like, I'm not familiar with that. Well, what's Article 10? And they were like, well, I can't recall. I'm just not familiar with it. These are judges, man. These are the people that the Democrats are putting in charge, man. These fuckers can't make eggs, man. I mean,
they know. They just don't want to get caught up in saying something, that they're not supposed to be saying.
Yeah, I mean, like describe a woman. Well, I don't know. It really depends, how the content is, and I'm just baffled by some of these people, man. They just blow my mind.
Well, what else is sad? A lot of these cities that you hear on the news. These are places that I was excited to see some of them. We've visited some of them together, but I'd be really nervous to go to some of them now with the crime and whatnot, which is sad because
it is sad.
They're magical places, seeing, Washington, D.C.
And when you see it firsthand, it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, New York City. It's just somewhere I really have no desire to go at this point because of the crime.
Yeah, we took our around the country trip, which we went over to. We went out to Cadillac Ranch in Texas and Vegas, and we went over to San Francisco, and we saw the Golden Gate and, Alcatraz, which is awesome. So I got to check that off my bucket list, which was fun. I think we had a pretty good time.
Oh, yeah. We saw a lot of sights then.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore, and we saw that other one.
The Crazy Horse.
Yeah, the Crazy Horse. There was an interesting story. Mama Bear is going to tell you the story behind this, but it's kind of sad when you hear the story. And we don't like to do sad stuff. We like to do fun stuff. And I like to drink whiskey while I do my show.
Well, it's not a completely sad story. Just what's happening with the progress of the monument.
Yeah, it's not completely
sad. A little bit sad. But how that started was today in history. So today in history, Crazy Horse fights his last battle. So
Yes.
and did you show the picture?
I'm going to do it right now
Yeah?
as you're telling your story.
So on January 8th, which is actually tomorrow, but you probably watch this on the 8th. So
Tomorrow's the 7th, honey. Today's Jan 6th, isn't it?
no, today's the 7th. So are you right? You are right. So I have January 8th.
Yes, baby. It's Happy Insurrection Day. It's Happy Insurrection Day. Okay, so we got the picture up, and yeah, so there's the face, and this whole front piece. I can't point on the camera, but the front piece you see is supposed to be the horse's head.
So, but the warrior from the Lakota warrior, Crazy Horse, and his men outnumbered, low on ammunition, and forced to use outdated weapons to defend themselves.
The Crazy Horse was an inspiration to a lot of his people.
Yeah. So they fight their final losing battle against the U.S. cavalry in Montana. So Crazy Horse, we went and saw it. We went up there and we saw Mount Rushmore, and then I don't know which one we did first, but when we drove up to Crazy Horse, I guess I was expecting something a little different.
Yeah, for sure. Mount Rushmore was an absolute sight to see. I mean, it was a lot out of our way, but there's just no way you go out that far and don't go see it. You know, the Washington, the Lincoln. I mean, it's just fabulous work. And when you walk in, they got all the flags from all the different states as well. That was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. So, but Crazy Horse is remembered for his courage, leadership, and his tenacity and spirit. So I like all those things in the face of near impossible ends. You know, the underdog story. Rudy. So we all love those underdog stories.
Yeah, we do.
So his legacy is celebrated in the Crazy Horse Memorial. It's the uncompleted monumental sculpture located in the Black Hills, which is beautiful. Such a beautiful area.
Gorgeous.
And that's not far from Mount Rushmore. So it was started in 1948. And you can see in the picture
1948
that there's not a lot. I mean, there is a lot done, but there's still so much more to do. And it was started by a sculptor, Zolinsky, who was also one of the sculptors for
Not
Mount
that
Rushmore.
Zolinsky.
No. So the Crazy Horse Memorial would be the largest sculpture in the world when it was completed. So the reason we asked, why is it taking so long? It was started in 1948, and they literally have his face and one of his fingers.
I don't even think they got an ear done yet. Yeah, remember that was pretty funny when we pulled up because we got there so early they weren't open yet. And I said to the guy, "Where can I turn around?" He goes, "Well, just go up and turn around." And we literally drove up right around it, took our pictures, and just left. We didn't even hang out.
No, we didn't.
I mean, when you see it, when you hear all the hype about it, they built it up the road, and it was supposed to be this big tribal experience. And I know there was a few groups that weren't too happy about them doing that. They didn't want to put the flash on the crew. They just didn't want the exposure, but still a good story nevertheless.
Yeah, well, they do not take federal funds.
That's right.
And that's the main reason why the project is taking so long, because they don't take federal funds.
Right.
So it's not even expected to be done probably in our lifetime. They're not thinking it'll be done for another 50 to 60 years.
Yeah, and that's just nuts to start that long ago, man. It's just nuts.
And it kind of makes me feel bad for the tribe. They're doing a lot of
that's a heartfelt thing for them. Yeah.
And I just wonder, when you hire someone to do a project in your home, and it was supposed to take, a couple weeks, and
are
then
we talking about our tile
months,
guy?
Right?
We're talking about our tile guy, our kitchen guy.
Yeah. So I just wonder how much is just being dragged out, and I hope all the funds are going to what they're supposed to be going for. So that kind of made me have a bad taste in my mouth about the whole thing. But regardless, so the gentleman Zolkowski,
not Zelensky. He's on his $75 million yacht right now, by the way.
He passed
Coast of
away.
Morocco. Guess who paid for that?
So he did pass away, but now his family, his kids have taken over, overseeing the project. So, and they chose the mountains in the Black Hill, and originally it was named Thunderhead Mountain.
It's beautiful up there.
And it is 6,500 feet above sea level. So it really is quite impressive when you're driving. You can see it.
It is, yeah. No one's questioning that. Yeah.
So in South Dakota.
Yeah, and they haven't really done much. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I know some guys that can knock that face out in about 3 days. I mean, you're talking, almost 1940, man. I mean, you're talking quite a bit of time there.
Yeah. So after his death in 1982, they did end up finishing the face of him. So, because he was working more on the horse part and no one could really tell what it was. So they did finish the face.
I still can't tell what it was.
They did finish the face, and they have to, they're depending on visitors to pay their money, which we did not pay. We just looked at it from afar.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there wasn't really a lot to see, but it was really nice to be there, and again, beautiful area.
And the story behind Crazy Horse is pretty impressive. I watched a whole History Channel thing on it, and
did you get the article for that? The story?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
And you know what else was nice about that trip too was Corn Palace.
That was, and that was in the same. I think that we determined was South Dakota.
Yeah, it was in South Dakota. It wasn't that far away, and they built this entire place out of corn. Like it's an old gymnasium or something. They have like a bunch of goods you can buy and 19 different ways to eat corn. But they got a murals on the wall and on the outside, and these things are absolutely stunning. I mean, from a glance, you would think these were painted with a brush. Look it up. It's pretty impressive, and they change it every year. The thing they gave us a little brochure when we went in. It was like $250 million or something. I don't think it was 250,000. Might have been 250,000. And they change it every year. They come in, scrape it off, and do new murals. But they the stage coaches with the horses, and it all looked pretty legit, man.
So you're wearing your Harley Davidson shirt today from our trip. So definitely, if you go up to Sturgis,
it's Sturgis too.
Take your time, go see Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Go to Crazy Horse and go to the Corn Palace.
Yeah, I got to go check out the Corn Palace. The place really was impressive, I have to say. Not as impressive as Mount Rushmore. We're not going there. But.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty intuitive making all this corn stuff.
Yeah, but it was a giant bust of Abraham Lincoln, man. You just can't beat that.
So, and that is Crazy Horse. So, a hero to his people and an inspiration for us all to fight.
Yes.
Well, that underdog who keeps on fighting till his death.
Yeah, we did a story last week about the Texas border, and we have about 50 counties there in Texas that have filed for invasion. Like they're literally saying we're being invaded. And I went through my Constitution with right there on the wall. And Article 4, Section 4, there's a section in there that talks about when a state declares invasion, that the government, is supposed to be there to support them. And they filed a lawsuit against Texas for that. And again, with Arizona, filed a lawsuit against Arizona saying that you shouldn't have to be a citizen to vote, which I thought was pretty crazy. And so I was looking through my thing here, and this is the rebuttal. This is the Texas Attorney General. And you have to bear with me for a second because I'm on my tablet here. So it's pretty crazy to see what's happened in the last 3 years of the Biden administration. He says those numbers, as we have seen, this is Ken Paxton, by the way, get worse, not better. Paxton said during the appearance on Fox News Sunday, alluding to the record-setting number of migrants crossing the U.S. border, it's not likely that they're solving the problem. They're actually helping and aiding and abetting the cartels. And when you think about it, man, I mean, it really, Americans are dying, and this clown's letting them just walk through the border. And there was a report, it was like 19,000 or something, Chinese as well in that 20 to 25 area. I mean, these people aren't camping, man. I mean, I just don't get it, man. The government just has no class, no dignity, no respect right now. This administration, it's just terrible. It's not likely they're solving the problem. Like I said, they're just aiding and abetting. It seems pretty crazy, and it's hard to believe what kind of government we have and what it's looking like. They're working against its own citizens, and they're helping the cartel move as many people across the border as possible. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton accused the Biden administration on Sunday of helping the cartels. And the GOP prosecutor responded to the Department of Justice, threatened to sue the state over laws that Texas authorities to arrest migrants and deport them was illegal. And that's why they're taking them to court. And, Texas don't give a shit, man. In a letter sent to the Texas Republicans, Governor Greg Abbott, to be specific, the DOJ threatened to sue him. And Abbott's office responded by saying Texas is ready to take this legal fight all the way to the Supreme Court. And I applaud those guys, man. They really see what's happening in the long game. And again, it's all about the long game. I mean, they've been doing this for years. I mean, they've already admitted that they need more votes. The black vote's leaving. The Latino vote's pretty much flipped. And, the more they keep going on, it's, like I said, I always say the same thing, man. And this is what I come back to. It's really about the kids. I mean, if you can't protect the children, you have no business there. And they're so concerned about other people's countries and borders and sending over supplies. What about sending supplies to Chicago or fucking Detroit, man, where people are just dying? They're dying, man. They can't afford to run the heat in some of these states. I found a couple articles about these old people that were just, they can't turn on the heat and they're dying. They're finding them dead, man. And I didn't want to do that on the show because it's just depressing that you have an administration that could give a shit less about our taxes, our inflation, our borders, the crime. I mean, Americans are dying, man, and they're doing absolutely nothing about it. And it's just aggravating from a standpoint of just being an American. I mean, if you're an American and you're watching kids get mutilated and veterans sleeping on the streets, which has been happening forever in every community. I mean, this isn't colorblind. Man, I think that's another issue that people are going to have to start figuring out, that we're Americans, man. Color doesn't matter. They can put it on the applications for jobs all they want, but until America says enough, I mean, enough's enough. I think most of the suburban and rural areas, I mean, they're just fed up. I mean, I think everybody's just fucking had enough. And these cities, man, they just keep voting them in. And I think that
we need to take care of our own.
Yeah.
To start with,
if you can't take care of your own, man, I mean, there's problems, and it all starts from school. I mean, take care of our children, teach them what they need to learn. Get them to learn how to, I don't know, use a fucking drill or a saw or something. I mean, anything useful that can help protect some of these kids.
Well, the schools, yes, but also just we're so busy trying to work to earn money to pay the bills,
especially when you're week to week like us.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, the family unit is different. It's changed, and we need to adapt to that and help our kids at home as well as the schools. The support for those teachers, the support for, respecting, your elders, your authority, adults, and just others in general.
Totally. And I did break out the shirt for another reason, because we went down to Jamaica for the week. We talked about that in our previous show too. And my battery's getting low, man. It's a homeboy needs to get a jump start and get old girl back on the road so we can go take a ride tomorrow.
I would love that. The weather wasn't so good today, but it's supposed to be nice tomorrow.
Yeah, it wasn't good at all. So I also found a couple stories about the border. And we're going to get to those soon as well, especially the Miami Dolphin player story, which was pretty heartfelt. I found this article about the last 6 presidents, and I wanted to bring it up just to kind of showcase what's happening here. So Ronald Reagan, when he came into office, this is coming in and leaving out loot, right? They got to make some loot. And back then, I mean, it's still today. I mean, they're all on the inside. I mean, the stock trading and all this shit. And term limits, man. They make these documents so thick, and they hand them like the night before. They'll give them like a 5,000-page document at like 8:00 at night and say we're voting on in the morning. Why don't they slip in term limits, man? I mean, the GOP needs to slip in term limits. They don't seem to fucking pay attention to anything they're doing. But this was Ronald Reagan. He came in with $10 million and left with $15 million. And George Bush Sr., he came in with 4 and left with 23. Hey, not bad. I mean, you got to expect them to make some money, but some of this is just ridiculous. Like these guys, the Clintons, they came in with 1.3 million and left with $241.5 million. And they're still not investigating the Clinton Foundation. I mean, if you think that's some stock, I mean, that's just a whole story by itself. And then Bush Jr., he came in with 24 and left with 40. And, these guys get paid like $100,000 a year or $100,000 a month, whatever it is. I mean, that's not a lot of cash to be walking out of here like with the Clintons, man, making $239 million while they're there. Just insane. And then Barack and Big Mike, they came in with 1.3 and left with 70.
That's huge.
That's a lot of money when you're making $100,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're in a hot mess too from the movie, and then they have that kid show where they were doing the gay wedding with 8-year-olds. I mean, that on a cartoon, man. I mean, this is what you're dealing with. Disney too. Disney's took a big wet bite. I got a story for those. I got a story at the end of the show for those clowns, man. And then of course you got the best president of all time, Donald J. Trump, and he came in with 3.7 billion. And he left out of there with 2.5, man. I mean, he literally sacrificed $1.7 billion to be president, shutting down a lot of things. And, his salary all went to charity. I mean, this is the guy that they're trying to throw in prison for 700 years. Not only did he lose over $1 billion being president of the United States, he donated his entire salary, man, to homeless and Veterans Affairs and drug abuse.
For love of country.
For love of country. I mean, this is the guy they're trying to. If you don't like a guy like that, then you should be in China, man. I'm sure some of us can pass around the hat and find you a goddamn plane ticket, and I'll send you to one of these third world toilets. I bet you don't last a month. I'll bet you don't last a month.
I thought it was funny, all those talk show people talking about, oh, if he wins, we're leaving the country.
Yeah, they said that last time. They said that last. They're all still here. We're going to Canada. Yeah, there was a few of them going to Canada. I don't hear them mention Canada anymore now that's the Soviet Union East. I mean, that place is just a fucking disaster too. So yeah, I want to do this show about the border. Mike Johnson, our new Speaker of the House, was down there. And man, he's on point, man. They just got to stop giving him money. I mean, honestly, man, Biden keeps pressuring them, and they're trying to coerce him a little bit. And Mike Johnson's flat out like, I'm not giving you any money until this border's fixed. And they just need to make sure it's fixed. I mean, there was
a right way to do it.
Yeah, there was a lot of wall laying on the ground that was left there after Trump left. And they ended up pawning it off, selling pieces of it. If anybody knows anybody who has a piece of that wall, I'd like some pictures, some photographs. I'll even buy a chunk of it if I can. We can.
CubbyJaxon.com.
Cubby Jaxon at gmail.com. Give me an email. Let me know if you got it. But yeah, we found this story with Mike Johnson down at the border, and I'm going to play it for you, man. Check this out.
World. It's estimated that nearly 170 countries have people coming in and flowing across this border. And some of these are from nations that have high numbers of concentration, and these are not people who are fleeing and looking for asylum, that are in fear for their lives in their home countries. We have hardened criminals coming across that border. They're the ones being released from prisons from some of these countries and sent here to come into the U.S.
Now, this administration,
rather than incentivizing people to come, the president needs to deter people from entering the country. Rather than discussing amnesty with Mexico, as top Biden administration officials did within the last couple of weeks, this administration should reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, as was said. Rather than expanding parole authority to an unprecedented scale, the president should obviously end catch and release and stop the abuse of our parole and asylum systems. The president can and should act now.
Absolutely.
This doesn't require legislation.
Should have acted 3 years ago.
It requires leadership. And despite the White House's claim, he has all the authority he needs right now under existing federal law to stop this madness. But the message his policies have sent is the opposite of that. It's quite clear.
Yeah, the only executive orders he wants to send are the ones that mutilate children and cost Americans more money and lives.
Under President Biden, America has laid out a welcome mat to illegal immigrants, smugglers, and cartels. He is responsible for the grave threat to our national security and our nation's sovereignty that these policies have created.
I know it's a little bit long.
Instead of taking responsibility and providing leadership, this administration has done nothing but attack elected officials who are trying to fix this catastrophe. The people standing behind you have worked hard. We passed our legislation more than 7 months ago. You have red and blue states all across this country that are being forced to step up because the federal government has failed to do its job. Right here in Texas, Governor Abbott has heroically done more to enforce the law than the president has. And how has this administration responded? They have sued the state of Texas to stop their deterrence efforts. They have brought them to court to strike down their ability to put up buoys in the water and razor wire and the rest. It's absolute insanity. The House has done its job. As I mentioned, we delivered common sense legislation that will secure our border.
Great speech.
But it's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk for 7 months.
Chuck Schumer, there's another prize winner.
Was our bill, and the time to act on it is yesterday. It certainly needs to happen. With each passing day, each record broken, this administration's dereliction of duty becomes more and more dangerous and more infuriating, and we are here to say that it must stop. What we saw today only made House Republicans more resolved to stand for sanity and the American people, and we
couldn't
will
have said
do
it better.
If President Biden wants a supplemental spending bill focused on national security, it better begin by defending America's national security.
Amen.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Yeah, this thing with the border, man. I mean, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, not only are we flooding in millions and millions of people that we don't even know half of them who they are. You know, they're coming in with no documentation. They could just say they're John Smith. I mean, what are they going to do? They don't know. And another story that was disturbing. Kim Jong-un tells military leaders to mobilize the most powerful means to destroy the enemies, including the United States. North Korea dictator Kim Jong-un told his military leaders during a meeting Sunday to mobilize the most powerful means to destroy South Korea and the U.S. if either country chooses to go to war, according to state media report. Kim warned the leaders of the dangers of an armed confrontation that is quickly becoming the reality of the Korean Peninsula. He blamed maneuvers by U.S. and other enemies, which could require North Korea to sharpen the sword to protect itself. If they choose military confrontation, Kim said, we'll set the fire. We must mobilize to all of our most powerful means to deal with the crushing blow and completely destroy them. Kim was quoted by saying the Korean Central News Agency, the KCNA, reported that. And it's just getting worse by the minute, man.
Well, we made our another trip up to us deplorables up to Walmart. Yes. To get some more cans of soup and some more water and powdered milk.
Yeah, we don't talk about it much.
Crazy.
Yeah, we don't
stocked, but you know what? It's okay. If there's a hurricane, we live in Florida, so if there's a hurricane, we're all set. We have a tight week, we're set.
I love how you say hurricane. Yeah, we got a few things going. Like I said, we just want to be prepared as we can. I mean, it's all boiling to a head, man. Like I said, you know, Biden's got the back door open. He's making China trillions of dollars on the fentanyl they're selling the cartel. You know, they're making another $1 billion selling weapons to Russia. And then the answer to that is, again, like I said before, they just want to bring in windmills and electric fucking cars. Like that's going to help anybody. And, you know, where do you think the solar panels, the batteries, all that shit comes from China?
I saw a picture of a lithium leach field in, I do not remember what country it was. It wasn't America.
Those are crazy photos, aren't they?
Yes, but it was like glowing green of this lithium leach field. And you think that's good for our environment?
Or even these are not they're not paying for labor, man. I mean, you look in there and there's kids and old people that are like just skeletons digging in these freaking cobalt mines.
Yeah. Man. It's just all of it is just too much sometimes. You know?
It can't be too much. And the U.S. deploys more than 3,000 sailors and Marines to the Middle East following Iran's targeting of ships. And that Houthi, they gave them a last warning and told them not to do it again. And they launched another drone. It was a ship drone, some kind of autopilot, something or other that they launched. So it's all coming to a head, man. It's going to happen fast because they know they have to do it before November. Because once Trump gets back in office, this shit's not going to handle. It's not going to go over well with anybody, and they just keep doing it, man. But the U.S. Navy announced the arrival Monday of more than 3,000 sailors and Marines to the Middle East following a call by the Department of Defense, which is a whole story by themselves. Mark Milley's still on the Hill looking for his fucking white rage or some stupid shit.
Still there?
Oh yeah, they're not going to get rid of him. They love him. Yeah, that's Biden's boy. Recent attempts by Iran to seize commercial ships from the CENTCOM area. The forces from the Bataan Amphibious Ready Group, the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the MEU they call them, arrived in the Middle East on Sunday, according to U.S. Naval Forces. And the amphibious assault ship, the USS Bataan, and docking landing ships, USS Center Hall, which is a pretty badass boat right there, entered the Red Sea after transitioning from the Mediterranean Sea through the Suez Canal. The Bataan units bring to the region additional aviation and naval assets, and as well as more U.S. Marine sailors provided by the greater flexibility of the maritime capability of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. And the U.S. Fifth Fleet's pretty bad. I hate to see them over there. I don't want to see nothing bad happen to our men and women. I mean, you know, focus, dude, focus. The amphibious assault ship can carry more than 24 rotary wing, fixed wing aircrafts, including the MV-22 Osprey. That's the one with the tilt motor engines. That's pretty badass too. Attack jets, in addition to several amphibious landing craft. The statement added a dock landing ship also supports operations for the various rotor wing aircraft, tactical vehicles, and amphibious landing craft. Yeah, I mean, we got soldiers all over the place, and except for where the invasion really matters, and that's at our southern border. And I just somebody needs to do something, man. I was gonna call Tucker Carlson earlier, but I can't seem to find his phone number in my phone. So Tucker, if you get this, text me, bro. Text me.
Well, when we had to come through customs, to come back from Jamaica, it's very serious, and where are you going? What are you doing? And then to think they're just letting thousands and thousands of people just walk right across the border, and not knowing, what their intentions or what their history is at all. It is scary.
Yeah, I try to look at things both ways, and I always think to myself, like, they get away with everything, and in a lot of situations, especially in these blue cities, they get away with everything. And I got to pay for a license to go fishing. If I want to go fishing, I have to get a license. But if I want to go rob a Macy's and get charged with jaywalking, that seems to be okay.
We're not going to be doing that.
Yeah, no. I was gonna get a U-Haul truck and get a bunch of my buddies. I guess if they're gonna loot, maybe go out to California, man. Maybe we can get a Lowe's or something. There was a report about I guess there was a bunch of white guys in the back of a pickup truck that ran in and raided the Home Depot. They grabbed all the Milwaukee stuff, all the DeWalt stuff, and oh no, sorry, that was Walgreens, and that was in Philadelphia, I think. So I saw that story. But yeah, so we got these we're gonna do a good story real quick about the kiddos, man. You ready to do a story about the kiddos?
I am.
That's a super cute story. We like this story.
So it's the brand new year, and there was 2 sets of twins born in different years.
That's just crazy, right?
So, yep.
Congratulations to the parents, by the way.
Yep. So in Connecticut, a pair of boys were born. One was born in 2023 and one in 2024. One at 11:50 and then one at midnight.
And good names too. I like.
Yep. These twins' name is Seven and Soli. So the family's doing well and getting well-deserved rest. And then the other set of twins was a set of boys, and they were also born in opposite years. Can you imagine being able to write off one of your kids for the entire year and not the other? So
I know I'd like to write off myself, but
so these twins were born in South Jersey, and the babies share a lot of things, and they won't share the same birthday or even the same year. These twins were born 40 minutes apart, so they're even a little bit more spanned. So the pictures of the babies are adorable, and the parents
adorable
have 2 healthy boys with an incredible story to tell. They said that it feels like paperwork is going to be the most challenging. Tell somebody you have twins and they want to write down the same date. No, they're born on different days and different years as well. They're going to say we're twin. They're going to say we're twins, and they're going to say you're lying.
To be maternal twins, like when they get a little older and somebody says, how old are you? And well, I'm 32 and he's 33. You can say, well, how does that work?
Well, I was born in 23 and he was born in 24. So
yes.
So that's really neat. So congratulations to those new parents and the new baby.
And then the second pair is a good story too.
That they were in Connecticut. So one was in New Jersey and one was in Connecticut.
And I'm sure there's more like that around the country, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. But I had an aunt who was born on January 1st, and her dad had been pressing to have the doctors induce the mom before year end so that the baby could be a tax write-off for the whole year, but it didn't work out that way.
Right.
So that's always fun. So New Jersey and Connecticut twins born different years. So that's fun.
That is a good story.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had time to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to have a few more good ones too, I think, before the show's over. So the Mayorkas impeachment hearing starts January 10th. And this guy's just, I mean, I don't know how you do it, man. It's like if you were standing there and you hit somebody in the face and the guy said, why'd you hit him? And you say, hey, it wasn't me. I mean, we're literally getting kicked in the balls down there at the border. And every time they interview this guy or have some sort of meeting with this guy, it's no, the border's safe. It's not open. I mean, the fucking numbers are outstanding, man. If you live, in one of the 170 other countries where these guys are funneling in, man, I mean, what luck. So the House Homeland Security Committee will hold its first impeachment hearing against Homeland Security Andrea Mayorkas on January 10th. And the committee chairman, Tennessee Republican Mark Green, said Wednesday, after the committee finished its investigation in December, Green said the House Republicans would have enough evidence to impeach Mayorkas, according to the Punchbowl News. That was a report I got from one. Mayorkas allegedly misused taxpayer dollars and ignored border security regulations. And our investigation made it clear that this crisis finds its foundation in Security Mayorkas' decision-making and refusal to enforce the laws passed by Congress. And the whole administration's been doing this the entire time. I mean, the idea that you can have that much power and then pick and choose what you're going to do to make Americans safe, and then you don't make Americans safe. You don't protect anybody, man. Just a joke. So the House voted in November to refer the articles of impeachment against Mayorkas to Homeland Security Committee. And Green said Wednesday on the vote only served to highlight the importance of taking up the impeachment process after they reviewed all the evidence. If he is impeached, it will be the first impeachment of a cabinet official since 1876. The impeachment hearing comes after illegal immigration hit a record high of 3.2 million, man. Customs and Border Patrol encounters last fiscal year. And again, they're up around 8. They got 2 million gotaways, and then the ones you don't know about. I mean, there's somewhere between 10 and 15 million. And if you're in one of these counties or areas where, you don't have the pretty fenced in gate or the fancy house like us, they're coming to your community. I mean, the numbers are already off the charts. Again, I find all these articles about the crime and the home invasions and the carjackings and the rapings and the kidnap from these illegal immigrants. And they just want to keep voting it, man. Like California, last week, they're giving them all free health care. I did see a GOP Republican trying to get a bill through to turn that off, because that's a funnel that's unsustainable, man. There's just no way to sustain that. There's just no way to sustain that.
I was looking up stories.
I know. I wanted to catch you on camera. What'd you find? Find something good, or am I going to keep talking?
Well, I was looking, since I had the wrong day for today in history.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually the 8th.
Yeah, it's Happy Insurrection Day. And let me just throw this out too. Remember, man, there's people still in prison from January 6th that haven't even seen a judge. The numbers are outstanding. And then they got this Epps guy who was like an ex-FBI guy, whoever. They have videotape of this guy standing out saying, "Let's go in. We got to kick the doors down." And they just gave him, like, the DOJ recommended 6 months. There's people that got decades of prison, and they weren't even at January 6th, man, and they still haven't seen a judge. I mean, if you don't realize that's just scamming and scheming and, breaking people's hearts, man. These people are losing their jobs. They're losing their homes. In some cases, losing their children. They want to talk about separating families. How about prosecuting people for no reason at all who did absolutely nothing wrong? That now they're if you're a single mom or a single dad, man, you're locked up in jail, and DCF's taking your kids, man. That's what's happening.
Well, and it's not a timely trial. I mean, if they had.
No, the due process is thrown right out of the window when it comes to conservatives. It's just thrown right out of the window.
They've been thrown in a hole and just forgotten about, or just left there.
And again, you think back, like Al Sharpton. That's a story I'm not even going into. But if you look up on Al Sharpton right now, he's all race baiting people again. Just what a slob, man. But these people that were at January 6th, they act like this was just a bunch of white racists, man. I mean, there was Latin people there. There was Spanish people there. There was French people there. There was a lot of black people there. Where's the NAACP and these guys saying, why are you throwing concussion grenades and rubber bullets at black people in the audience and the crowd? I mean, nobody's saying anything about anything. Pretty sad stuff going on, man, with our DOJ. That's another one that should be impeached pretty soon, if you ask me.
Well, hopefully some of those not so up and up DOJs will get the boot come next year about this time.
Yeah, maybe not. I got this, the stories that we loaded. I'm missing the piano story. I think so. This was an interview with Ramaswamy, and I like Vivek, man. I think he's got a lot of character. He's extremely smart, very well spoken. I think that at some point he's going to get a job in the administration, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be creative for Trump to put him somewhere in there, and I hope he does. I mean, I like him. I like RFK too. As some people might kick me down a little bit for that. I like the way he speaks. I like the way he talks. I think he's got a lot of interesting interesting results when he looks at it, because he's one of those guys that look at it from the outside, which I really like. Like Sean Hannity does that as well. He tries not to jump on it. And he looks at it from the bigger picture. And I think that they better be very careful who they pick this time. I think anybody I know really hopes Trump gets back in, just from a standpoint of financing. I mean, financing is a big deal, again, with the groceries and the inflation and socks. I mean, I just went and bought some clothes, just a little bit of clothes, like $300 fucking dollars, man. I mean, this is the same stuff that was $1.25 5 years ago. So that's another big deal too, man. But again, you got all these people standing up for the wrong reasons. And you got the left that just flat out lies, man. I mean, I click it over and I watch some of this MSNBC or, click on a couple of these online places that are Democrat. And it just, you look on one page and you see a story with nothing there. So-and-so said something. And then I'll go look it up like online on my TV, because we have the Rumble and the YouTube app. And I go find something. And then they're showing like documents and video footage. And you just never get the facts, man, from the left. And I hope that somebody changes that too. These social media companies that are being protected by the law, these are private companies, man. I mean, they shouldn't be able to do that, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know what's true and what's not. That's why Cubby always goes and tries to find the story in multiple places, because you hear something and you're like, wait, is that right? Let's make sure. Yeah.
And it is a lot of research too. I mean, I spend most of the day browsing around on that stuff and then getting my email updates and all the other good stuff. Coming from West Palm Beach, I mean, I think everybody there is familiar with the Trump name. Epstein, I never heard of. I mean, I never heard of him. I wasn't in that loop to say, but the Kennedys as well. The Kennedys had a mansion right there down where I lived. And so we were able to see the Mar-a-Lago. I actually been to Mar-a-Lago. I had a gentleman that worked there that actually got me on the ground to look around. And that place is stunning. That place is stunning. And that judge that says that place is worth $18 million. Somebody needs to drug test these fucking people. Kamala Harris, too. Somebody needs to drug test these people, man.
So I've driven by there. I used to work on Palm Beach Island years ago when I moved to Florida. And it is, I only saw the outside.
That's when we first met. That was the Breakers.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the Breakers.
So, yep. So I worked down there. But yeah, I used to drive by it. And it is an impressive, at least from the outside on the road. You can't see a lot.
And there isn't a lot of properties that you buy that go from the intercoastal to the ocean. He's one of the very few that have those long pieces. I mean, they were showing articles. I mean, you can go right now to Palm Beach Real Estate and you can find empty lots for $20 million. So again, this judge, man, up in New York, he just shot the fuck out.
Yeah,
dude.
it's worth way more than that.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that story up because I have a gentleman of interest that I like. His name is Sean Hannity, and he just moved down there.
Welcome, Sean.
Yes.
We're so happy you're here. Palm Beach County.
Yeah, welcome to the crew. Now Tucker's got a place down here. Sean Hannity lives down here. As we all know, Rush Limbaugh lived down here. And it's 2.5 miles from I think it was 2.5 miles from Mar-a-Lago. So that's convenient, I guess. So he spent $5.3 million on this Palm Beach condo. A lot of the things you'll see about home and mansion. It's a condo, man. Don't get all excited like he's dropping all that.
I'm sure
money.
It's a very nice condo.
I'm sure it's an extremely nice condo. Yeah. So he paid $5.3 million for this Palm Beach condo, and it's not far from Mar-a-Lago. Like I said, it's 2.5 miles or something like that. And it's a 3-bedroom, 5-bathroom pad. And, I think he'll enjoy it down here. I had the little clip. We were going to load it. I was going to do the show next week and let him get settled in before he gets it. Because Sean Hannity watches my show and messages me all the time about upgrades and things that I could do different. So, yeah, that's my boy right there. But yeah, and Palm Beach is nice, man. I mean, back in the 80s when I moved down here in 78 from Ohio, and that was the big winter, man. We got snowed in, and but it took the National Guard like I don't know what it was, 13 or 16 hours to dig us out. Mom had the bags packed, and we were out of here. But yeah, and another discussion that we were talking about. I had a couple articles on climate change, and look, man, I'm just going to tell you straight. If you think there really is a climate change problem, then look at the people with the most money. You know, you're talking about your banks and your mortgages and your hedge funds, and these guys are still giving mortgages on the coast. Okay, so if you think somebody's going to cut you a mortgage for one of these $2, $3, $5 million, and knowing that it's going to be underwater in 10 years, like AOC told everybody, and John Kerry's telling everybody, they have been doing this for 30 years, man. Everything's a crisis. Everything needs more money, and that's what they're doing now. Climate crisis, and they're shoving all this money into these different organizations and platforms, and it's all about votes, man. You keep the crazy. I mean, that's what these people are. These kids in these high schools, like the Harvard story, these people are just absolutely insane. So I found this little clip, and this guy's awesome, and I wanted to play this about climate change, and I think he's on the right track, baby.
Warmth of about 0.6 degrees Celsius. 1850, what happened then? Oh yes, that was the end of the Little Ice Age. Do you think it's going to warm or cool after a Little Ice Age? So if you start taking measurements from 1850 and the Industrial Revolution, we have been warming. If you take measurements from the medieval warming, we've been cooling. From the Roman warming, we've cooled about 5 degrees. So as soon as someone...
What he's saying there is with that curve, so like long time ago by the Ice Age, it was a lot cooler. So as that hump goes over, if you're measuring it from up here down to there, it looks like, you know, we've gained a lot of temperature depending on which angle you're putting at. So the guy's explaining how that just isn't.
Warming, the reply you give is, since when?
Yeah, so that's what's happening there. It's just insane.
I think it's just a natural, cycle of the earth,
Yeah. So my Miami Dolphin friends, I have a story for you. I don't know if you saw it. Miami had it up pretty good, but it didn't seem to make a lot of national media that I saw. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's Florida mansion caught on fire, and firefighters were called Wednesday to extinguish the blaze. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill, South Florida home, according to reports, smoke could be seen over the roof of the home, which was purchased for $6.9 million in 2022. If I remember right, it was like the middle of 22. The guy hasn't even had it 2 years. And Hill, who was preparing for the Dolphins' regular season finale against the Bills, and I have to say, go Dolphins, man. I mean, I'm hanging in there for you. So, unless the Steelers miraculously get in, and hopefully I kick your ass in the AFC game, but we're not going to go down that road right now. So the finale against the Bills has been in communication with his family. The organization said in a statement, Tyreek has been in communication with his family. Everyone at the house is safe at this time, and he also left practice to deal with the situation that was going on there. And
did they say what caused the fire?
They haven't yet. I haven't seen an update on the story. I got it bookmarked on a few different places, so I hope that the insurance covers that, man. And you talk about the football, like, back in the day, I was a big football guy.
Joe Robbie.
Yeah, Joe Robbie Stadium. Now, man, the Orange Bowl. Yeah, my grandfather used to take me down to the Orange Bowl and watch Hurricane games and Dolphin games back there. Back when they had David Woodley and Louis Von Shaman, man, that was the good teams back then. And I stopped watching it. I guess, like I said, I didn't follow a lot of politics until like Obama's last quarter there. And just terrible what goes on with these people. And the BLM flags and end zones and everything start blobbing up.
And kneeling for the...
Yeah, and kneeling for the anthem shit. Like Colin Kaepernick, man. This guy should be selling, like, I don't know, man, scooters in Hawaii or something. The guy just has no talent whatsoever. And
I don't even know if he's not playing anywhere, is he?
I think he's trying to get picked up by some. That guy ain't played pro ball in like 3 or 4 years now. I mean, just a waste. But getting back to my story, yeah, my grandfather used to take me down there, and then they built Joe Robbie and took me to a few games. And then again, all that BLM stuff came out, and it's all lives matter. I mean, again, you just keep throwing these colors in there, and it all comes from the left. When you listen to the right, it's always Americans, and then you hear a lot of stories on the left, and it's black and it's white and it's brown and it's yellow, and the media does the same thing. The media is absolutely disgusting, and they're a big part of the problem. But BLM the same way, man. I mean, people just they thought it was a good cause, and then these guys are buying mansions and cars, and now I think it's shut down. And I think all lives matter. I think everybody can agree on that. They're on the same side of the world.
I'm a big Little House on the Prairie fan, and today, one of the episodes, they said, it doesn't matter what color you are, to a bear, y'all taste like chicken.
Yeah, we all taste like chicken. And if you ever get attacked by a bear, remember, you don't have to outrun the bear. You have to outrun the person next to you.
Yes.
That's That's the key to that. And yeah, so the border thing, Mike and them were down there. This is from the U.S. immigration. I picked this up too. So the U.S.-Mexico border crossings in December set a monthly record. The thought out crime you need to ponder on is there's 300,000 military-aged men that came across the border. And again, this is allowed by the president. I mean, there's nobody else doing this but them. They got border patrol, riding around, taking people to doctor's appointments and all kinds of shit down there. It's just sad, man. I wish somebody would be able to do something about it. Somebody needs to do something about it because these people up on the hill, they are doing absolutely nothing to protect the citizens of this country. And instead of protecting the citizens of this country, they're bringing illegal immigrants in and giving them everything.
And the states are crying out for help at this point.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. I mean, I watch a lot of clips, man. I'm just so proud of our brothers, man, the communities in these lower areas that are just, I think most of them are tired of being stereotyped too, that they're being Americans, man. And these lower population, these lower income areas are standing up, man. That the communities are like, we've had enough. We've been voting for you on this Democratic plantation forever. And they've said in multiple, I've seen multiple states and multiple areas where they just had enough, man. I mean, they've been asking for assistance for moons, as many far back as many moons as I can think of, and they get nothing, man. They get a few dollars on their welfare or whatever it may be, and no matter what color you are, man. I mean, you just got to be appalled at the idea that they're going to bring in 8 to 10, maybe 15 million people, and then want to hand them $5,000 gift cards, cell phones, full health insurance, and put them up in these fancy hotels when our kids and our families are sleeping on the street, man. Fucked up, and it pisses me off. And somebody needs to do something. I think everybody's had enough. Had enough, man. Had enough. Sorry, I got all jerked up, man. These people just make me sick, man. Molly Hemingway, who is one of the writers for the Federalist, is an awesome lady, and I love what she does. She said the 2020 presidential election, unlike any in American history, hundreds of laws and processes were changed in the months leading up to the election. Powerful tech oligarchs, your Facebook and your Twitter at the time, and they're spreading this corrupt propaganda, and the press conspired to keep it important news stories, and they still do. I mean, they got the 51 intel agents talking about how it's all Russian intel on the laptop, and then you got Hunter Biden saying it ain't his laptop. And then, they find the receipt with his name, address, and phone number on it. I mean, you'd have to be a fucking moron not to understand what's going on there. He ain't a part of it. Just like Biden, I didn't have any relations with his business partners, and they got pictures of them all over the place, man, hanging out the golf course and restaurants with his clients. I mean, come on, man. And she goes on to say, the Biden family is completely corrupt. It's been a business for a long time, hidden from voters. And the weeks prior to the voting, information operations were routinely manufactured about President Trump in the closing months of the propaganda campaign that they launched. And the propaganda press also had to downplay Zuckerberg's staggering $419 million expenditure. The funds were used mostly to register Democrats and to encourage Democrats to vote, harvest Democrat ballots, cure defective Democrat ballots, and count Democrat ballots, etc. No right-wing billionaire could even gotten away with half of what Zuckerberg did. And again, man, they just don't stop, man. And I think at some point that's why we try to keep things in the house like food and water and try to keep my family safe. I mean, that's really all it's about for me. And you just got to be careful when the shit hits the fan, which door you're kicking in, because you kick in the wrong door. So you don't want to be in that position anyway. So just prepare yourself, man. And just, it doesn't hurt to go out and, whatever you can spend, a couple cans of this, a couple jugs of that. And just, I think if we can get through November, we might be okay, especially to the holidays. But, things are just moving south, man. You got Ukraine and Russia going at it. You got, the guts of London, Britain, they're going at it. You got Ireland going at it. You got Saudi, Iran, and North Korea getting ready to launch missiles, and China goes into Taiwan, which I'm leaning that way that it's going to happen before Biden leaves office, because the guy just has no balls. I mean, he's done nothing. There's been over 120 attacks on U.S. soldiers over there since all this shit started, and they've done absolutely nothing but blow up a couple of trucks. I mean, people are just gonna get tired of putting up with that shit, man.
Yeah. And even our puppies for Christmas got the big container, so we went and got some extra dog food, and it's a
Sure. And now when
50
she says extra dog food, she's talking about a pickup truck of fucking dog food.
so 50 pounds of dog food fit in these containers, and it's ant proof, and
Yeah, it's important when
So-
especially when you're prepping. I mean, they say a gallon of water a day. Probably squeeze away with a half a gallon if you got good eats, but the dogs are gonna
so
need
don't
water.
forget your medications and your dogs
Yeah.
or your cats or whatever you may have.
Yeah, and they also got those survival straws that you can get that you can get water right out of the canal. They even have some that are filtration on pumps, but very important just to be prepared. I'm not going to dwell on this. I have a friend of mine, Lance, that does the bonsai podcast on prepping. If you've never heard of him, or you should definitely go check it out. He's got a couple really great interviews, and I'm going to have him on the show soon, and we're going to go through a little prepping episode. So Lance, if you're out there, give me a call sometime soon.
You have a couple people lined up that you're
Yeah.
gonna start having some
Yeah,
guests.
we're doing well. Yeah,
So-
we were gonna start our Wednesday show this Wednesday that just passed, and but by the time I got the stories right and everything else, I'm dealing with a lot of pain again. Did you guys know the back surgery? So it's difficult to sit and walk, and I'm either got my cane or my walking stick. So it's been pretty rough, man. But we're doing our Wednesday show this Wednesday, and I got a nice guest for you there. We're gonna get into some mild politics. We're gonna talk about the correctional system and the prison industry. It's probably gonna be a conversation there, but we'll get to that Wednesday. So, and that'll be a live episode as well. And if you have Rumble or YouTube, now we still got to get everything processed for this. But if you have Rumble or YouTube on your television, you can just go type Cubby Jaxon, 2 words, Jaxon, and it'll pop right up on your TV. We were pretty jazzed about that the other day.
And like and follow.
Yeah, and like and
follow.
subscribe. Yeah, subscribe is the key. YouTube, they say, is the hardest platform to get likes on, and I have to tell you that might be true. But we are getting views on there. I think we're up to like 500 views or something on our last 2 episodes. Now, this is episode 4, but the last 2 were an hour long. That first one was like an 18-minute kind of checky thing. So I think for having 2 hours on our platforms, I'm pretty happy about having 500 people check it out on YouTube. And we're over 1,000 on Rumble. And again, this is 2 hours of footage along with our shorts. But I'm pretty happy with the direction that we're going so far. I mean, I still want to, with it being a green show, I still want to find some psychologists, and I'd like to get either a nurse or a couple doctors, maybe a retired police officer, and a veteran. I've reached out to a couple places. We have a political party place here that I reached out to, and a couple veterans organizations that I reached out to. So we're going to end up expanding and doing stuff well. And we also got the on-site setup as well. So I'll be doing some shows on location here really soon, and progress is power.
Progress, and to make a difference and make a change, you got to start somewhere, and reaching out and making these connections with locals and getting involved in the politics. It doesn't have to be that you're running for mayor, but just getting the word out and making those small changes locally if we want to make them nationally. So
You're so cute. All right. Well, hey, listen, we hope you enjoyed the show. We'll have more stories for you Wednesday. I just wanted to personally thank each and every one of you for attending today. And by all means, go on our platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Rumble as well. And we're doing our best, man. Like I said, we're just now trying to get some information rocking. And I really appreciate you being here today. We're going to head off with happy thoughts and Happy New Year. And we hope all your dreams come true. Make sure you stick to your resolutions. And it was a good show there, Sweet Pea.
it was. Good job.
So adorable. All right, remember, be kind to one another. And just do your best, guys. Be prepared, be safe, and
Happy Insurrection Day.
from my family to yours, Happy New Year, guys.